Hey, everyone, you will not believe what happened to me. My brother's new wife was so bossy and sneaky, and she had no idea I actually owned the very house they were living in. One day, she lost her cool and called the police on us. But what happened next will leave her speechless. You have to hear the rest. If you love twists like this, go ahead and drop a like and leave a comment below. Just don't subscribe to the YouTube channel yet. I want to see what you think before you hit that button. Meet our main character and narrator, Jessica Reed. She is 32 years old and has always loved helping her family. She grew up in a small town and worked hard so she could buy her brother and his wife a lovely home. Over the years, she saved every penny, and when Michael got married, she surprised him and his new wife, Vanessa Wright, with the perfect house on Cedarwood Crossing. She thought they would be happy. Now, let's begin the story proper. Jessica puffed out a slow breath as she parked in front of the big white house at the end of the cul-de-sac. It had green shutters, a neat lawn, and a white picket fence that looked like it belonged in a storybook. The sign by the gate read, "Welcome to 45 Cedarwood Crossing," and Jessica's heart swelled. She remembered the day she signed the papers. The sun was shining, birds were singing, and her brother Michael hugged her so tight he nearly squeezed the breath out of her. Now, though, the place felt cold. Vanessa was standing outside on the porch, arms crossed, her red lips pressed into a straight line. She wore big sunglasses, even though it was cloudy. Her hair was pulled back in a high ponytail that bounced when she tapped her foot. Jessica waved. Vanessa looked right through her and stomped inside. Jessica hesitated at the front door. What was wrong? She tried not to let the worry show. She had always taken care of her brother, even when he was a little boy who scraped his knee riding his bike too fast. She had never let him down, and she certainly wasn't going to let him down now. She opened the door. The living room smelled like fresh lavender, Vanessa's favorite, or so Jessica thought. But the room looked different. The photos of Michael and Jessica together on the mantel were gone. In their place, a large portrait of Vanessa and Michael in matching black outfits glared down at Jessica. "Where's our picture?" Jessica asked, trying to keep her voice calm. Vanessa snapped her head around. "Picture," she said, her eyebrow arching. "That picture was old, Jess. I got rid of it." Jessica's heart sank. She crossed her arms. "I bought that frame," she said softly. "I thought it looked nice with the house." Vanessa's lips curled into a fake smile. "I don't want your old picture here. This is my home now." Jessica blinked. "Your home? I own this house." Vanessa's smile froze. "That's not funny," she muttered. "It's not a joke," Jessica said. "I paid for it. The deed is in my name." Vanessa laughed, a sharp sound. "Prove it." Jessica pulled out her phone and opened a photo of the signed deed. She handed the phone to Vanessa. Vanessa scrolled, her red nails tapping. She tossed the phone back. "This is a fake," she said. "You could have photoshopped it." Jessica stared at her. "I'll show you the original papers. They're in the study." Vanessa shook her head, her ponytail swinging. "I'm not wasting my time." She turned and walked into the kitchen. Jessica followed. The kitchen was bright with yellow walls and a big granite island. Vanessa leaned against the counter, scrolling on her phone. "Vanessa," Jessica said firmly, "you need to understand something. I am not your enemy. I helped you get this place." Vanessa looked up. "Helped me? You forced me to live here. I don't need your help." There it was again, that tone of voice that made Jessica's skin crawl. Vanessa was always putting Jessica down, making her feel small. It had started the day they moved in. Vanessa would complain that the carpet was the wrong color or that the garden gnomes were tacky. She made Michael rip out the old rose bush because it didn't fit her aesthetic. At first, Michael tried to calm her. "It's okay, Van. Jess wanted it like this." But after a while, he stopped. He would just nod when Vanessa complained and walk away to the basement to tinker with his old radio. That's when Jessica realized she had to be careful. Vanessa was like a spooky storm cloud. She could wreck everything around her. And she seemed to think Jessica didn't matter. A few days earlier, Jessica had come over to drop off a gift for Michael's birthday. She had baked his favorite chocolate cake and brought it in a big pink box. Vanessa took the cake, looked at it like it was slimy and said, "Who makes a cake like this? It's so sticky." Then she tossed it on the counter, as if Jessica had brought trash. Michael didn't even blink. That's when Jessica knew she had to do something. She couldn't let Vanessa walk all over her or her brother. She just needed to bide her time, to wait for the right moment. A week later, Jessica showed up with some fresh flowers for the front porch. The mailbox was broken, so she brought a new one and offered to install it. Vanessa's eyes gleamed. "Fine," she said, "but make sure it matches the house." Inside, Jessica found the old mailbox hidden in the garage. She set to work, unscrewing the old one. As she did, she felt someone watching. She looked up. Vanessa was leaning in the doorway, arms crossed, mouth curled. "Do it faster," Vanessa snapped. "I don't want our neighbors to see a rusty mailbox." Jessica's hands paused. Her heart pounded. But she took a deep breath and finished the job. The new mailbox gleamed under the porch light. It was perfect, maybe too perfect. Vanessa nodded, barely glancing. "Thanks," she said. After that, Jessica started noticing little things. Vanessa would borrow Jessica's things without asking. Towels, candles, even Jessica's fluffy pink slippers. When Jessica asked for them back, Vanessa would say, "Oh, I thought they belonged here." One afternoon, Jessica found her favorite ring missing from her jewelry box. She knew Vanessa had been in the room that morning. She asked Michael, but he shrugged. "Maybe you misplaced it," he said. She spent days looking for it. Then she saw it on Vanessa's dresser when she dropped by to bring over Michael's lunch. The ring sparkled under a table lamp. Vanessa caught her looking and said, "Borrowed it." Jessica's blood boiled. "You're not supposed to take my things," she whispered. Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Relax. I'll give it back when I feel like it." That was it. Jessica decided she would teach Vanessa a lesson, but she would do it cleverly. She would show Vanessa exactly whose house it was. For days, Jessica planned. She read about landlord rights and property laws. She printed out papers. She talked to her lawyer. She made sure she knew every detail. She even called the local police station to ask what would happen if someone lived in a house they didn't own. She didn't give names, just a fake questioner. They told her an owner could evict a squatter after a short warning. Jessica felt both nervous and excited. She set a date. She told herself she would handle it calmly. She would deliver the papers in person and watch the shock on Vanessa's face. Then she would wait for the right moment to take back control. That afternoon, Jessica knocked on the front door. She wore a suit and held a neat folder. Michael opened the door, surprised. "Jess," he said, "are you okay?" Jessica smiled. "Better than okay. I'm here on official business." Vanessa appeared behind Michael, arms crossed. "Official business," she said. Jessica cleared her throat. "Yes, I have some paperwork you need to sign." She handed Vanessa the folder. Vanessa took it and flipped through the pages. Her eyes widened. "What is this?" Jessica waited, watching Vanessa's face. She kept cool. Vanessa looked up. I don't understand." Before Jessica could say a word, Vanessa stormed off to the living room. She slammed the folder on the coffee table and burst into tears. "It's not fair," she cried. "You can't do this. I moved in. I helped decorate." Jessica sat down across from her, calm as a lake. She leaned forward. "Vanessa," she said softly, "I never asked you to sign a lease. This is my house. I gave you a place to live because I love my brother." Vanessa sniffed. "Love him? You're trying to ruin me. I call the shots now." Jessica's eyes narrowed. "Not anymore." At that moment, Michael appeared. He looked between them, confusion and fear in his eyes. Maybe we should talk, he said. Vanessa screamed, I'm calling the police, and she ran for her phone. Jessica leaned back, heart racing. She had expected resistance, but not this. Vanessa's hand shook as she dialed. Jessica could see her thumb hovering over the call button. Don't, Jessica warned. But Vanessa had already pressed it. Within minutes, blue lights flashed down the street. Jessica's breath caught in her throat as the police car pulled up in front of the house. The officer climbed the porch steps, his shiny badge catching the afternoon light. Jessica's heart pounded. She stood behind the screen door, pressing her palm flat against the cool glass. The officer, a tall man with a kind face, gave a polite nod to Vanessa, who stood beside him, phone still clutched in her hand. Ma'am, you called us, the officer asked, his voice low but firm. Vanessa straightened her spine and forced a smile. Yes, I live here, and my sister-in-law is claiming she owns this house. I wanted to make sure everything was okay. The officer turned to Jessica. And you are? Jessica Reed, she said, stepping forward. She kept her voice calm. I am the owner of this house. The officer raised an eyebrow. The owner, huh? Let me see some proof. Jessica reached into her handbag and pulled out her wallet. From a clear pocket, she took a laminated copy of the deed. The officer took it, his eyes scanning the fine print. This looks legit, he said, handing it back. Miss Reed, if you're the owner, then Miss Wright doesn't have legal grounds to call us. Unless there's an immediate danger, we can't evict her today. Vanessa's face fell. Immediate danger, she repeated, her voice shaking. I was scared. The officer folded his arms. Fear isn't enough. Now, unless there's a crime in progress, I'm going to go back to my patrol duties. He tipped his cap and walked down the steps. Vanessa watched him go, her phone slipping from her fingers without her noticing. Jessica waited until the squad car's headlights rounded the corner before speaking. It's okay now, she said softly. Vanessa took a shaky breath. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Instead, she spun on her heel and stormed into the house. The back door slammed so hard the windows rattled. Jessica looked at Michael, who hovered in the hallway. He ran a hand through his hair. What's happening? He asked. You heard her, Jessica said. She called the police on me, Michael. But they believed I'm the owner. Michael's face went pale. He swallowed. I didn't know she'd do that. Jessica placed a hand on his shoulder. It's okay. We'll figure this out. Michael nodded and walked into the living room. He flicked on the lamp and sat down on the sofa. His hands trembled. I feel like I'm in a nightmare, he said. She's not the person I thought she was. Jessica sat beside him. I know, but you're safe. I'll protect you. They heard footsteps upstairs. Vanessa stomped down, her eyes red. She held her phone like a shield. Don't think you've won, she spat. I'm not leaving. Jessica stood. I never said you had to leave today, she replied quietly. We'll handle everything by the book. But you need to stop treating this house like your playground. Vanessa laughed, a harsh, broken sound. This is my home. She pointed at Michael. He and I are married. We belong here. Michael flinched. He looked at Jessica with guilt. Vanessa, he started. Don't you dare, she snapped. She went back inside, slamming doors behind her. The muffled sounds of drawers opening and closing drifted through the hallway. Jessica and Michael exchanged a worried look. She's looking for the deed, Michael said. She thinks if she destroys it, you can't prove ownership. Jessica closed her eyes. She can't destroy it. I have copies and there's the county record. She's just desperate. Michael nodded. What do we do now? First, Jessica said firmly, we make sure the deed is safe. She stood up. Come on. They walked down the hallway to the study. Vanessa's footsteps echoed over them, but Jessica focused on the folder in her hand. She opened her desk drawer and slipped the original deed inside a locked box. Then she grabbed several certified copies and placed them in her purse. "There," she said. "No one can reach it now." Michael exhaled. "You're amazing, Jess." She managed a small smile. "Just doing what's right." They left the study and stepped into the kitchen. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the tiled floor. Michael poured them both a glass of water and handed one to Jessica. They sipped in silence, listening for any sign of Vanessa. But the house was eerily quiet. No doors slammed, no footsteps shuffled, no angry shouts rang out. It was as if the storm had moved on, leaving behind a strange, hollow calm. Jessica set down her glass. "We should talk about next steps," she said. Michael nodded. "What do you suggest?" Jessica leaned against the counter. "We need to serve her a formal notice, a legal eviction notice, but we'll wait until she's calm. For now, let her think she's still in control." Michael frowned. "Is that kind?" Jessica sighed. "We're teaching her a lesson, not hurting her. She needs to learn respect." Michael looked torn. "I don't want to hurt her feelings." "She already hurt ours," Jessica replied softly, "and she doesn't respect boundaries." He nodded slowly. "Okay, you're right." They finished their water. Jessica checked her watch. 6:45 p.m. The sky outside had turned a pale gold. Soon it would be evening. "Why don't you take a breather?" Jessica suggested. "Go for a walk around the neighborhood. Clear your head." Michael hesitated. "Are you sure?" Jessica smiled. "I've got this. You need some time to think." He cracked a small smile back. "All right." He left through the front door, giving her a cautious wave. Jessica watched him go, her heart aching for her brother. She wished he didn't have to be stuck in this mess. Once he was out of sight, she turned her attention back to the house. The silence felt heavy. She glanced at the kitchen clock, then at the hallway leading to Vanessa's bedroom. With a deep breath, she picked up her phone and scrolled through her contacts until she found the number of her lawyer. She tapped the screen. "Hello, Mr. Sanders," she said as soon as he answered. "I need your help drafting an eviction notice. My tenant's acting out, and I want to make sure we do everything by the book." She listened to his response, nodding even though he couldn't see her. Yes. Send me the details. I'll prepare the paperwork tonight." After she hung up, she felt a small surge of relief. The legal process would be slower, but it would be solid. No more surprises. She set her phone down and leaned her back against the counter. Then she heard it, a muffled crash, like breaking glass, coming from Vanessa's room. Jessica's blood ran cold. She pushed herself off the counter and sprinted toward the noise. The hallway stretched longer than she remembered as she flew past the study and living room. When she reached Vanessa's bedroom door, it was ajar. She gave it a gentle push. Inside, the window lay shattered, shards scattered across the carpet. The blue curtains fluttered in the evening breeze. Vanessa stood by the broken glass, her face pale. What happened?" Jessica whispered. Vanessa spun around, tears streaming down her cheeks. I was looking for the deeds. I thought they were hidden under the bed. But when I yanked the frame, the whole window broke." Jessica's eyes widened. "You broke the glass?" Vanessa hugged herself. "I lost control. I was so angry. I just wanted to prove you wrong. And now look." Jessica stared at the torn curtain and shattered glass. Then she looked at Vanessa's trembling form. This moment was tense, but still not the worst. It was a low point, a mistake born from fear and anger. Jessica could feel the hard lesson coming. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Vanessa," she said softly, "this house isn't your playground. It's a home, and you can't keep breaking things to get your way." Vanessa's eyes flicked up. "I know. I'm sorry." Jessica nodded. "We'll fix the window, but you need to calm down. Tomorrow we'll deliver the notice." Vanessa sank onto the edge of the bed. Okay. Jessica looked at the broken glass again. Her throat tightened. She had handled Vanessa's attitude, her insults, even her attempts to destroy the deed. But now, she realized that Vanessa's next move could be even worse. And just as she reached for the phone to call for a repair service, the lights slammed off, plunging the house into sudden, absolute darkness. The house stood silent in the dark. One moment, the lamps glowed warm, and the next, everything went black. Jessica's heart jumped. She fumbled for her phone light and pointed it at the hallway. Tiny beams of glow cut through the dark like fireflies. "Vanessa," she called softly, "are you okay?" Michael's voice came from the living room. "Jess, I'm fine, but the whole neighborhood is dark." Jessica crept down the hall. The broken window in Vanessa's room was still cracked, moonlight streaming through. The curtains fluttered like ghostly arms. She pressed a hand to the wall and made her way to the living room. Michael sat on the couch, hugging a pillow. He looked pale in the phone's glow. "I thought the power cut was just here," he said. "But I saw through the window. All the streetlights are out." Jessica nodded. A storm must have hit the substation. She tried to sound calm. "Let's check on Vanessa." They tiptoed toward Vanessa's room. The door was closed now. Jessica knocked. "Vanessa, it's Jess. Are you all right?" There was a shuffle inside. Then Vanessa opened the door. Her hair was a mess, and her clothes looked rumpled. She held a flashlight under her chin, making her face look scary. She blinked at them. Tears dried on her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "The thunder was so loud. I thought someone was breaking in." Michael stepped forward. "It's okay, Van. Let's sit in the hallway until the power comes back." Vanessa nodded and sank to the floor. Jessica sat beside her and wrapped an arm around her shoulders. The three of them huddled in the hallway, listening to the wind howling outside. In the distance, a low rumble of thunder rolled past. A branch tapped against the roof like a ghost knocking. Jessica's teeth chattered. She wished she had brought blankets. After a few minutes, Jessica rummaged through her bag and pulled out a small lantern. She clicked it on. A soft yellow light filled the hallway. Vanessa smiled faintly. "Thanks," she said. Michael patted the floor beside him. "Let's move to the den. We have more candles there." The den lay behind a sliding door. Jessica opened it and flipped on the lantern. She counted the candles, 8 red ones and 2 white. She set them on the coffee table and handed a white one to Vanessa and a red one to Michael. Jessica lit them with a match. The den felt cozy. Shadows flickered on the walls. Michael blew out his candle's flame to avoid smoke. Vanessa stared at her candle, her finger tracing patterns on the wax. Jessica looked at both of them. Despite everything, she felt a moment of relief. The three of them were together, safe from the storm outside. She took a deep breath. "This storm will pass," she said gently. "We just have to wait." Vanessa lifted her head. I'm sorry for everything," she said in a small voice. "I hated that you called the police. I was scared I'd lose Michael and this house." Michael squeezed Vanessa's hand. "Jess is doing this for us," he said. "She cares about both of us." Jessica smiled. "I love you both. I want us to be happy." She paused. "And I want you to learn how to live here without fear." Vanessa nodded. "I want that too." Jessica's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. A text from her lawyer. "Window repair scheduled for tomorrow at 10 a.m., it read. "Good." She typed a quick reply. She set the phone down. "Tomorrow we fix the window and you get an official notice." She gave Vanessa a supportive look. "You'll know exactly what's happening." Vanessa's lips quivered. "Okay." Jessica leaned back against the sofa. The candles flickered. Outside, rain splattered on the windows. For a while they sat quietly. Then Michael spoke. "Jess, do you remember when we were kids and used to camp in the backyard?" Jessica laughed softly. "Yes. We'd build a fort under the old maple tree and pretend we were explorers. Vanessa smiled. That sounds kind of fun. Michael nodded. It was. We'd roast marshmallows and tell ghost stories. Jessica's eyes softened. Maybe we can do that again someday. Vanessa looked hopeful. I'd like that. Jessica felt warmth in her chest. This small moment felt like a gift, a ray of light in the darkness. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the house. The den door rattled as if someone tried to kick it open. The candles flickered violently. Michael jumped up. What was that? Jessica's heart pounded. Stay here, she whispered. She picked up the lantern and crept toward the door. Vanessa clutched Michael's arm, her face pale. Jessica opened the door a crack. Moonlight spilled in. She looked down the hallway. The wind howled through the broken window, bending the curtains. A large tree branch lay on the floor near the staircase. The branch hadn't been there before. It looked freshly broken. One end smashed through the banister. Splinters littered the steps. Jessica's breath froze. A branch fell through the hallway, she said to herself. She stepped out, lantern in hand, and saw that the branch had rattled the railing and cracked the banister. She pulled her phone light and shone it on the branch. The bark was wet with rain. It looked heavy. If it fell on someone, it could hurt them badly. Jessica called out, Michael, Vanessa, stay back! Michael and Vanessa hurried down the stairs. They watched as Jessica carefully moved toward the branch. She gripped it near the split. It slipped in her hands and cracked the floorboard. She gasped but held on. She managed to wiggle the branch free and dragged it back toward the broken window. Rain blew in. The curtains whipped around her legs. She struggled to lift the branch and push it outside where it belonged. Water pooled around her shoes. Finally, she heaved it out. The branch landed on the grass with a thud. Jessica slammed the window shut, jamming a chair under the handle to keep it closed. She stood dripping and shivering. Michael and Vanessa rushed to her side. Are you okay? Michael asked, his eyes wide. Jessica hugged him, and then Vanessa. I'm fine, she said, though her arms ached. Vanessa's eyes brimmed. I'm sorry, she whispered again. I never thought a storm could bring me to tears. Jessica patted her back. It's okay. It reminded us that this house needs care, and that we need each other. Michael nodded. We make a good team. Jessica smiled, though her teeth were chattering. Yes, we do. She looked at the den, where the candles were still glowing. The storm outside had cut the power, fallen debris had crashed in, but inside they were safe together. Then the candles flickered one last time and went out. The lantern had run out of fuel, and the matchbox was empty. The three of them were plunged into total darkness once more. In that moment, Jessica realized this was not just a storm. It was the beginning of something much bigger, something that would test their trust, their courage, and their bonds. And somewhere beyond the shattered window, in the roaring wind, an even greater shock was waiting. The darkness pressed in around them like a heavy blanket. Jessica's heart hammered, so loud she was sure it would wake the whole house. Michael's breathing came in short, sharp gasps beside her. Vanessa huddled close, her face pale and frightened. Then, out of nowhere, a loud crash echoed through the walls, like something enormous had slammed into the side of the house. The sound vibrated under their feet and rattled their bones. Vanessa let out a high-pitched scream that cut through the blackness. Jessica grabbed Michael's hand and called into the dark, "Stay close! Don't move!" They stumbled forward, their arms outstretched, feeling for walls and furniture. Every step was cautious, every breath shaky. The crash had come from the back of the house, near the study and the kitchen. Vanessa whimpered. "What was that? Is someone breaking in?" Jessica shook her head, though she couldn't see anything. "I don't know, but we have to find a way to the front door." Michael nodded. "I'll lead. I remember the way." He held out his hands. Jessica put hers in his, and Vanessa followed, gripping Jessica's arm. They moved slowly, listening for more sounds. A gust of wind howled through the broken window in the hallway. Rain spattered against the walls. They felt a cold breeze blow past them, as if someone had slipped by. Jessica's breath froze. "Did you feel that?" Michael swallowed. "Yeah." They reached the living room and paused. The shape of the sofa loomed like a dark mountain. A faint drip-drip sound echoed from somewhere. Vanessa whispered, "I'm scared." Jessica squeezed her hand. "We're together, okay? We'll get out." Michael knelt and felt the carpet at the base of the door. "The front door handle is here." He reached down and turned the knob. It clicked but didn't open. Jessica frowned. "It's locked." Michael tried again. "Someone jammed it from the outside." Vanessa gasped. "They're trapping us." Jessica's mind raced. If the door was blocked, they needed another way out. "The kitchen," she said. "There's a back door there." Michael nodded and turned toward the kitchen. They moved as one unit, Michael in front, then Jessica, then Vanessa. The kitchen was ice cold. The yellow walls looked gray in the dark. They could hear water dripping from the broken window trough. Crumbs and spilled coffee grounds lay scattered on the counter. Jessica shone her phone light on the floor. She spotted the door to the garage at the far end. "That's our way out," she whispered. They hurried across the room. Michael reached for the light switch. Nothing. He tried the garage door handle. Locked. Vanessa squeezed Jessica's hand. "What now?" she whimpered. Jessica looked around. The pantry door stood ajar. She remembered the back wall had a small window, but it was too high to reach. Then she saw it, the old service hatch by the counter where deliveries came through. It was big enough for a small person to crawl through. "Over here," Jessica said. She pulled Vanessa toward the hatch. Michael followed. The hatch latch was stiff, but Vanessa managed to lift it with Jessica's help. Inside was a narrow, dark tunnel that led outside under the fence. The ground was muddy and soaked. Michael crouched at the opening. "I can fit," he said. Vanessa shook her head. "No way, I'm not crawling in there." Jessica knelt. "It's the only way. We'll help each other." Michael crawled in. He moved slowly, his flashlight beam bobbing. Jessica helped Vanessa lift herself partway into the hatch. Vanessa hesitated, then crawled in behind Michael. Jessica waited for them to emerge on the other side of the fence, but they didn't come. She leaned in and saw them both trapped, stuck halfway, the tunnel too narrow. Vanessa's dress caught on a nail, and Michael's shoulder bumped the wall. Vanessa cried out, her flashlight clattering to the ground. Michael cursed softly. Jessica's heart pounded. "Hold on. I'll come get you." She took a deep breath and crawled in after them. The wood scratched her knees, and her bag caught on a loose board. She pushed forward until she reached Vanessa's feet. "Let's all go at once," she said. "On my count." Michael and Vanessa nodded. 1, 2, 3. They heaved together. Wood splintered. Vanessa slipped free and tumbled onto the wet grass. Michael followed, then Jessica. They lay on the ground, gasping. Rain drenched their clothes. The fence loomed above them, tall with broken boards. Vanessa sat up. "That was insane." Michael brushed mud from his hair. "We made it." Jessica looked back at the hatch. She swallowed hard. "We need to go back for the others, our things, and the folder." Vanessa shook her head. "No way. Let's just leave. We'll go to a hotel." Michael stared at Jessica. "Jess." Jessica closed her eyes. The wind blew across Cedarwood Crossing, shaking the fence. She knew leaving meant losing everything. Her home, her memories, her chance to set things right. A sudden crack rang out behind them. They whipped around. The study window on the other side of the house shattered, sending glass flying into the night. A dark figure lurched through the opening and disappeared into the house. Vanessa screamed and scrambled backward. Michael grabbed her arm. Jess, that's someone coming in. Jessica felt a surge of fear and anger. They had fled through the hatch, and now someone had broken in through the study. She looked at Michael and Vanessa. Stay here, she said. Michael's eyes were wide. You can't go back in there. Jessica shook her head. I have to. She ran toward the broken window, slipping on the wet grass. Rain stung her face. Glass crunched under her shoes. Inside, the house was in chaos. Papers fluttered in the wind, curtains danced, and a dark shape moved through the shadows. Jessica's heart hammered. Whoever it was, they weren't sheltering from the storm. They were here with a purpose. She swallowed hard and stepped over glass shards. Then a voice, low and menacing, called to her from the darkness. Well, well, Jessica Reed. Did you really think you could run away? The voice said. Jessica froze. Her blood ran cold. The stranger emerged from the shadows, and she recognized the silhouette. It was Vanessa, but her face was twisted in fury, her eyes wild. You left me behind, and now you'll pay, she hissed. Jessica's breath caught. The betrayal in that moment was more dangerous than any storm. Jessica's feet froze in the broken window. Rain pummeled her back. Vanessa's wild eyes glowed in the dim light as she took a step forward, cracking the wooden floor. The storm outside was nothing compared to the storm inside that room. How dare you leave me? Vanessa hissed, her voice shaking. You think you can just walk away? Jessica's heart thundered. She clenched her fists. Vanessa, stop this. Talk to me. Vanessa laughed, a cruel, broken sound that cut through the thunder. Talk? You want to talk after you locked me in? After you left me to face that tunnel alone? Michael and Vanessa's old friend Tyler, who had come for the window repair, stood behind the desk holding a flashlight. He looked terrified. Hey, Vanessa, calm down, he said. Vanessa spun on him. Get out, she screamed. Tyler backed away, dropping the flashlight. It spun on the floor, casting frantic beams against the walls. Jessica took a deep breath. Vanessa, look at me. This isn't you. Vanessa's shoulders shook. It is me, and I'm done being your guest. She stormed past Jessica toward the front hall, her heels clicking on the wet floor. Jessica followed, but her foot slipped on a shard of glass. She stumbled and caught herself on the doorframe. Pain flared in her palm, but she ignored it. Tyler hurried after them. In the foyer, the front door still hung locked. Rain blew in through the shattered windows, making puddles on the wood. Vanessa yanked at her coat, soaking it. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. I'm calling the sheriff this time, she shouted. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Jessica moved closer. Don't, Vanessa. But Vanessa pressed the call button. She held the phone to her ear. Sheriff's office? There's a home invasion in progress at 45 Cedarwood Crossing. Jessica's blood froze. No, she cried. She lunged forward and knocked the phone from Vanessa's hand. It skidded across the floor. Vanessa screamed and pointed. Don't touch me. Tyler grabbed Jessica's arm. Jess, let's go. Jessica shook him off. She knelt and picked up the phone. The call was still connected. I'm the owner, she said into the line. Please don't send anyone. On the other end, she heard muffled voices. Then, yes, ma'am. She hung up and stood, wiping rainwater from her face. Vanessa's breathing was ragged. She stared at Jessica with a mixture of hate and fear. Just then, a flash of lightning lit the room. For a split second, Jessica saw fear in Vanessa's eyes. Then the lights flickered on, this time powered by Tyler's portable generator. The room glowed with harsh white light. Vanessa squinted. You own this, she whispered. Jessica nodded. Yes, and I'm not your enemy. Vanessa looked away. She bit her lip. The storm outside had died down to a soft patter. It felt like the cruelest joke. Vanessa's fury matched only by a sudden, trembling sadness. Tyler cleared his throat. I can fix the window now if you want. Vanessa glanced at the shattered glass, then at the repair tools. She shook her head. Not now. Tyler dropped his gaze. He set the tools aside. Silence settled. Then Vanessa took a small step toward Jessica. She stopped. Her eyes filled. I'm sorry, she said so softly it almost vanished in the storm's echo. Jessica's heart ached. She reached out and gently squeezed Vanessa's hand. It's okay. Tyler exhaled. I'm heading out, he said. It'll be safe once the guardrails are fixed. Michael stepped forward. Thank you, Tyler. Tyler nodded and slipped out the front door into the rain. The room felt empty without his presence. Vanessa let go of Jessica's hand and sank onto the bottom step of the staircase. She hugged her knees. The generators, light, hummed above them. Michael knelt beside her. We're here, he said quietly. Jessica stood, looking at both of them. The memory of Vanessa's rage still burned in her mind. But now it felt small under the weight of the storm's calm aftermath. Just as she turned to help Vanessa up, a sudden screech split the air. A tire slashing sound, metal grinding against metal, and a terrible, ear-splitting crash from the driveway outside. They all froze. Vanessa's eyes shot to the window. Michael's face went white. Jessica raced to the window and peered out. A dark shape lay wrapped around the side of the guardrail posts. They'd been torn from the pillars, splinters everywhere. Then she saw it. The family car, overturned and smoking, its front slammed into the big oak tree at the end of the drive. Her breath caught in her throat. The headlights were still on, shining through cracked glass, casting a ghostly glow on the crushed metal. Vanessa's gasp echoed behind Jessica. Michael's hand trembled on the windowsill. They looked at each other, eyes wide with shock. The storm had passed, but a new, darker storm had just begun outside their door. Jessica's heart pounded as she stared at the overturned car. Rain dripped from the branches onto the smashed hood. Michael rushed outside first, slipping in mud. Vanessa followed, shaking, her nightgown soaked. Is anyone inside? Jessica called, grabbing a broken branch for support. Michael peered through the shattered window. There's someone, they're hurt. He yelled, hang on. We're coming. Jessica and Vanessa climbed over the fence and ran down the driveway. The car's front was pressed hard against the oak tree. The driver's door was crumpled. Michael pried it open with the branch Jessica held. Inside sat Tyler, the repairman with blood on his forehead. His eyes were closed. His hand was on his stomach where the seat belt had cut him. Tyler! Jessica cried. She knelt beside him. Can you hear me? Tyler's eyelids fluttered. He moaned. Jess! I'm okay. His voice was weak. Vanessa sobbed. What do we do? Jessica looked up at Michael. Go get the first aid kit from the garage. Hurry! Michael nodded and ran back. Jessica pressed her hand gently on Tyler's wound. Blood soaked her sleeve. Stay with me, Tyler, she whispered. You're safe. Vanessa knelt beside Jessica. I'm so sorry, she said softly, placing a hand on Jessica's shoulder. I should have been here earlier. Jessica looked at Vanessa, surprise and gratitude mixing in her eyes. Right now, we help him, she said. She tore a strip of her shirt and wrapped it around Tyler's side to slow the bleeding. Michael returned with the kit, bandages, antiseptic, and scissors. Jessica cleaned Tyler's wound and wrapped it tightly. Tyler groaned, but managed a small smile. Thanks, everyone. After a few tense minutes, Tyler's bleeding slowed. Jessica wiped her hands on a towel. The rain had nearly stopped, and moonlight broke through the clouds. Vanessa brushed mud from her hair. What now? She asked, voice trembling. Jessica stood and looked at the car, the tree, and the quiet street beyond. We call an ambulance, she said. She pulled out her phone and dialed 911. There's been a crash at 45 Cedarwood Crossing, she told the dispatcher. We need help right away. As Jessica hung up, The headlights of an ambulance appeared around the corner. The red and blue lights flashed on the wet pavement. Michael held Tyler's hand while Vanessa and Jessica waited, hearts heavy. The ambulance pulled up behind the police car that had arrived earlier. 2 paramedics jumped out, grabbed a stretcher, and hurried to the car. One paramedic carefully lifted Tyler onto the stretcher. He winced as they moved him. "You're going to be okay," the paramedic said. "We'll take good care of you." Tyler managed a weak thumbs up. Then they loaded him into the ambulance, and it sped away, lights flashing. Jessica, Michael, and Vanessa stood in the driveway, rainwater pooling at their feet. The wind whispered through the trees. The house loomed behind them, dark and still. Vanessa leaned against Jessica. "I never wanted things to go this far," she said. Jessica wrapped an arm around her. "None of us did," she replied. Michael wiped his eyes. "What about the car? What about everything else?" Jessica took a deep breath. "We'll figure that out. But first, let's make sure Tyler gets help." She picked up her phone again, scrolling through her contacts. Suddenly, a siren wailed behind them. Another police car racing down Cedarwood Crossing. Its engine roared to a halt next to the ambulance. 2 officers jumped out and ran toward them. One shouted, "Everyone back up! Stay where you are!" Jessica froze. "What's happening?" she whispered. The officer pointed at the dark front door of the house. "We got a report of a break-in here an hour ago," he said. "We're here to investigate." Michael's face went pale. "That was Vanessa," he mumbled. "She broke in through the study window." The officer's partner flashed a light at the front porch. "Someone inside called us, saying they heard shouting." Jessica's stomach dropped. "That was me," she said. "I called off the sheriff earlier, but I didn't know they sent more officers." The first officer frowned. "You'd better explain everything now." Jessica looked back at the dark house, its windows like eyes in the night. Vanessa gripped her hand. Michael stepped forward, ready to defend them. But before Jessica could open her mouth, the house door creaked and swung slowly open on its own. From inside, a cold wind blew out, carrying a soft, mocking laugh that chilled them to the bone. They all stared, breath caught in their throats, as the dark hallway beyond beckoned them, and something, or someone, stepped into the light.